Spice on a Bike. Be a nice name, wouldn't it?
Nice. Oh, is that not a lyric?
Bike Spice.
Yeah.
Who would that be?
No, I've had enough toilets, rules. I know which one it is. Which means that the final scores are Sean's team have got 10 points, but Phil's team are this week's winners with a dozen. So, thanks to Sean, Dermot and Melanie C. Phil, Paul and Sean, this has been Never Mind the Buzzcocks. I'm Mark Lamar, and believe me, I'm going down, down, down. Good night.
Your secret is out.
10 million people listen to Radio 2 every week.
That's enough people to reach around the coast of Britain.
Twice.
Come and join us.
We broadcast live from the Country Music Awards in Nashville. And from the Rio Carnival, good morning, Rio!
There are millions of you tuning in, and we know who you are.
Radio 2, the most listened to radio station in the UK.
The secret to a great relationship is trust.
You have read the recipe this time.
I have read the rest of you saucy thing.
Patience.
Oh, get a move on, Jamie.
You're like Gordon Ramsay, you are.
Communication.
Go on, darling, talk dirty.
And physical attraction.
The tastiest thing on this planet.
Jamie's giving it
Large.
to help a friend in need.
I needed.
Friends for Dinner starts Wednesday at 8:30 on BBC Two.
Guaranteed to cause offence to just about everyone now on BBC Two. Clarkson gets politically incorrect.
Good evening. Now, as I'm sure you've read recently, the British Army's guns don't work. It's also true to say that some of our jet fighters are flying around with concrete in their nose cones rather than radar. And now, this week, our entire fleet of nuclear-powered hunter-killer submarines has broken down. It has. And all of this means that it's very hard at the moment for the armed forces to guarantee the defence of the realm. It's a big area to protect, and really, something has to go. The big question is, what do we do with it? Well, now look, the simple fact of the matter is that the Welsh were allowed to vote on whether they had a Welsh Assembly, so let's vote here on whether we put Wales in the microwave. All those in favour, raise your hands. And all those against? Look, I'm sorry, mate, we're outvoted. You do realise what you've done, don't you? I mean, this'll be no more Tom Jones, no more Manic Street Preachers, no more Anthony Hopkins, no more male voice choirs. Yeah, you've got a point, actually. Let's just put that in. And we'll get on with with the show. Now, have you ever wondered if it's possible to barbecue or in some way flambe a Halloween trick-or-treater using a hollowed-out pumpkin, a lump hammer, a tin of hairspray, a candle and some string? I have. I didn't mind when Halloween meant a bunch of 6-year-olds coming round to your door wanting sweets and pushing your milk bottles over. But now it's car thieves wanting your TV set. Well, you little scallywags, if you come round to my house next week in your big silly trousers, I'll be ready for you. You see, this may look like an ordinary Halloween pumpkin, but we've got all sorts of extras inside. Here's the candle with the hairspray just behind it into the flame, and then hanging above the nozzle is the lump hammer, which is connected by some string to the doorbell. Look, we've got one primed down here, and all we need now is Darren, who's just back from a 6-week diving holiday, actually, in the Red Sea, paid for by social services. But sadly, from his point of view, he hasn't learned his lesson. So, here he comes, up to the front door, parks his ridiculous strides in front of the pumpkin, which isn't scaring him, and then he leans over to press the doorbell. Ready? OK. Oh dear. Oh, dearie me, Darren has caught fire. Well, I'll get a fire extinguisher, but no rush, eh? Just so and hold on a sec. His whole front... Oh, his bottom's on fire. There we are, that's put him out. And, oh my God, I've forgotten about Wales. Hold on, oh Lord. Oh Christ, hold on a sec. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Sticky taffy pudding. Fried Cymru. I'm very, very sorry, everyone in Wales. I'll put it back and we'll say no more about it. Sorry. Let's meet my first guest. He's 20 years old and therefore too young to hire a car, which is odd, because he's a Formula One racing driver. Ladies and gentlemen, Jensen Button. Sorry about that. I think you may have got Wales all over your hand. You're not Welsh, are you?
No, I'm not Welsh, no. Quite close, though, Somerset.
Really?
It's not too far away, is
You
it?
get on with them okay?
Haven't been there very often, actually.
Well, you won't be going now, look. It's got a bit burnt. Still, season ended on Sunday. How was it?
This year's been fantastic, it really has. My first year in Formula One. I couldn't have really wished for anything better. I mean, racing for Williams and BMW has been very good, and also being 8th in the championship. It's been an excellent year off and on the circuit.
And you didn't crash once?
Except for behind a pace car. I think that was probably the only time.
Yeah,
which is actually quite embarrassing.
I was going to say you didn't crash once, apart from that time when you were all behind the safety car, and you managed to crash while doing not very great speed.
I was actually adjusting the stereo, but
Was it a problem being so young? Because I mean, you're 20. And when you got into the world of Formula One for the first time, did the other drivers like pinch your dinner money and pull you?
They did a little bit to start with, but when I started doing okay, they were okay, and we get on pretty well, most of the drivers.
What did they do? Who did what to you?
No, nothing bad, just saying things about the circuit and everything, especially Ralph telling me to take certain corners in certain gears. And
This is your teammate,
yeah.
Ralph Schumacher.
And I get there and I'm 3 gears too low for the corner, which is actually quite embarrassing. But no, they've been pretty good this year.
Really? Have you made some friends with them?
Yeah, a couple. I think probably the most people I get on with is Jacques and people like Ralph. And
Ralph? He's a special friend.
he's He's my teammate, yeah. But no, we get on great. I mean, the start of the year, we hated each other. But now we get on quite well. Now I'm leaving.
Yeah, because you're off to race for Benetton next year. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. When you got onto the grid for the very first time, very first race, which was Australia, what was it like when you were sitting there and the lights were all red and you knew that in 5 seconds or however long it's going to be, you've got to set off? How terrifying is that?
Well, it wasn't actually too bad because I did so badly in qualifying. I started second to last, so I had no cars behind me to worry about. But no, I was pulling up on the grid, and the first thing I thought is, there's 21 Formula 1 drivers around me: Michael Schumacher, Mika Häkkinen, people I've always dreamt about racing with. I always watched on TV when I was not even in my teens. So it was an amazing feeling. And then when the lights suddenly went out, all the engine revs pick up. Lots of vibrations through the car. It is an amazing feeling. There's not many other things which are as good.
Really?
Mm.
Well, when you're a bit older, maybe you'll think, I don't know. Formula 1 is very grown up. Do you ever feel tempted when you're out there to act like you're 20?
Always.
Really?
And I always do as well. Obviously, you've got to watch it in front of the cameras and everything in interviews, but I'm still 20. I'm exactly the same as any other 20-year-old, except I maybe don't drink as much and can't handle as much either.
What kind of temptation comes your way then at races? Maybe in hotels afterwards.
Difficult question, that one, really.
No, it isn't. OK, Jensen, girls.
Girls?
Are there lots of girls or just a few? Or?
I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be, actually, in Formula 1.
Really?
Yeah, Bernie's tightened up on it slightly, and it's very, very difficult for them to get passes. But I try my best.
Because do you have, like, Formula Ford girlfriends, and then you go into a Formula 3 girlfriend, and then get the top-notch model when you're in Formula 1?
What do you think?
I've no idea.
No,
I'm not a Formula 1 driver.
Obviously, when you're racing, a lot of girls think of you as, oh, he's a racing driver. So I want to be with him with things like that. But obviously, you don't want that, do you?
Well,
they want is one thing.
Can I have to go out afterwards? Maybe give me some lessons in it. And of course, you just bought a Ferrari. Well, what was that like going into the show and thinking, I'm 20 years old, I'm going to buy a Ferrari?
It was an amazing feeling, first of all, because I got it from Maranello. And walking in and seeing all the cars, and I thought, wow, I want one. And I saw a yellow one, and I thought, that's mine. So I got the cash out and bought it, which they were quite surprised about.
Did they know who you were?
No, and so they were quite shocked. I said, can I test drive it? And they obviously said no.
Seriously, they wouldn't let you test drive it?
Not until I bought it.
That must be so annoying. They've got their money in a big carrier bag here.
He said I can take you around the block. I said, oh, great. That's good.
So some little Ferrari salesman with his neat haircut had to take you round going,
no,
it's really fast, this.
No, it was actually quite good, and I actually deal with him now, so I can't say anything too bad about him. But
And now everyone's calling you a future world champion, and I think deservedly so, yes? But the thing is, does that put untold pressure on you?
So I don't think it was any added pressure because I put enough pressure on myself to become world champion. So
really?
Hopefully it will happen in the future. But again, if I didn't think I was able to, I'd give up now.
Next year?
I probably wouldn't actually.
No, I was going to say, no, don't give up now. No, we need it. Just one little bugbear I've got, hope you don't mind my bringing it up, but what's this wee business that racing drivers suffer from?
I know, yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? What do you mean, weeing, or...?
No! You do that?
Yeah. Actually, some drivers do it in the car.
Who does it?
Who does it? There's a couple, I think Johnny's done it before. I can actually say that because he's left.
Johnny Herbert wets himself.
But quite a few drivers, I think, wee in the car. There's actually quite a good story of Johnny a couple of years back. He couldn't be bothered to get out of the car to go to the toilet on the start line. So he weed in the car and was given loads of tissues by the mechanics to clean it up slightly. And when Pasquale, who was in the FIA, topping the FIA, walked past, so Johnny threw the piece of paper at him and he caught it. There is some quite interesting things that happen that a lot of people don't find out.
No, the wee businesses, I'm talking about this we did this, we did that in the car. Nigel Mansell, I think, started it. You think, well, who else is in the car with you? Because you've done it as well. I've heard you say, we tried this and we tried. You think you haven't. You're on your own.
You have, because you've got 80 people in the paddock that are working on your car. So
They're not. They're having a snooze while you're not seeing what we're seeing on the TV. They're all just like...
We have, actually, because we've had some early race retirements, so I've seen quite a bit of that.
They do. They're just lounging around. It's you, mate. It's you when you get back, say, I tried this and I tried that and I won or lost.
No.
Oh, we've got some lessons with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Jensen Button. Now, the good thing about being tall is that you can't see what's going on the top of my head, which is handy because I've got a hair hole. Look, can we get a camera up? Look at that. See? Now, finding a solution for baldness is not easy. I mean, look at Elton John, a man not exactly limited by budget. He tried a hair transplant, he tried hats, and he's decided that the best solution is to walk around with a Yorkshire Terrier on his head. What do you... But I'm happy to say that there are other solutions. Now, can we have a volunteer from the audience? We're going to try these out. Anyone up there bald? Yes? Yes, you, sir. If you'd like to come down, give him a round of applause. He's very brave, yes. Thanks very much. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Now, your name is?
Dave.
Dave. OK, Dave. Now, we'll begin, I think, with this. It's spray-on hair thickness. Well, that's what it says. So you just... Well, first of all, actually, do you want a parting of some description?
A wide one.
A wide one? You've got a wide one. You've got a wide one. Let's give you a centre parting. We'll just pop this on here. So, now, you just put that in front of your eyes. We don't want you to get hairy eyes, OK? Hold it tight. We also don't want you to see what we're doing, mate. There we go. Ready? That's not really... right. You can come out now. No, don't look, really. What about, well, we'll try this paste. You can get it from, let's just see what the parting looks like. Hold on a sec. We'll try this paste, I think. The idea is that you simply put it on your head like glue, and then you get some offcuts from the barbershop floor, and then stick that on. We'll give it a go. See what happens. Now it is possible, apparently, to use some of your own hair for this, instead of having to go to the barbers and ordering sort of half a hundredweight of used stuff. But don't, whatever you do, feel tempted to, go down south. OK, right, we've got some of it here. Let's see what we can do. How's it looking? Well, that's not bad, actually. Hold on a sec, we'll just clear up the back. There we go. I would offer you something for the weekend, but I doubt you're going to need it, really. You've been very brave. Thank you very much. Thank you. Maybe it's best to just stand up like a man and say, I'm bald. I'm a chrome dome. I'm a slaphead. Let's ask my next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader of Her Majesty's Opposition, William Hague. Well, you are. You are bald. I mean, there's no way we can cut around that one.
I met a man in Wigan last year who said, don't worry, Mr. Hague, he said, it's not what's on your head that counts, it's what's in your head that counts. And I think that was good advice. And I look across at Tony Blair and I think, well, at least one of us has got a dome that didn't cost £900 million of other people.
However, is your baldness, I wonder, going to cost you the next election? Because according to Neil Kinnock, he recently said that no bald candidate could ever beat a hairy one.
Poor Neil Kinnock. I have to feel sorry for Neil Kinnock because he's obviously rationalising after the event. You know, he stood for 2 elections, then has to explain why he didn't succeed. You know, and he's sitting there thinking, is it the fact that I wanted to throw away all the country's weapons at the height of the Cold War? No. Is it the fact that I was the first person to propose John Prescott to be in charge of the transport system? No. It's because I'm bald, he thinks. Well, let's let him think that. Let's be charitable. Let's let him think that.
It's because he's Welsh.
Steady on. You're not only...
I know. I apologise again.
It's not only the land of my father, it's the land of my mother-in-law, so you'd better be careful.
Will you apologise, actually, to Fiona for that? It was an accident. I just left it in too long. Let's move on. Away
Does he
from
look
borders.
guilty about it?
Why is it so uncool to be a Tory these days?
Does it matter whether it's cool? You know, the trouble with being if you're a political party and you're trying to be a fashion, the trouble is that you go out of fashion, as some people are now discovering. So I'm not sure that anybody should be trying to be cool. I think people are a bit sick of politicians trying to be cool, trying to be something that they're not. You know, there was this report out last week that said we had a problem in the country because of the rule Britannia mindset. And actually, I think we have more of a problem with the cool Britannia mindset, trying to forget the whole past of the country as if it never existed. I think we should be proud of the traditions and past of the country as well as of what we are today.
The thing is, though, that if you avoid cool, which his toniness certainly doesn't, but then he does get some fairly serious heavyweight cool people at his conferences. I mean, you know, his parties, he gets Oasis and Mick Hucknall and so on and so forth. Now, at the recent Conservative Party conference, got a list here. You had Ed Stewpot Stewart, you had Nicky Stevens from the Brotherhood of Man, and Diana Moran, the Green Goddess.
And what a great bunch. But should we be trying to be, you know, you mentioned Oasis. I remember the night in the House of Commons, we were discussing cutting social security benefits, the government having to reduce social security benefits for some people. The same night, they were all drinking champagne in number 10 Downing Street with Noel Gallagher. Now, is that cool? You know, it was meant to be cool, but what did the country think about that? Is that really how you should run the affairs of government?
But the thing is that if they're trying to reflect what the country is, if you go around the bars from, I don't know, Newcastle right down to Notting Hill, I mean, the whole country now, all the bars do tend to be full of these new Labourites sipping away on their sea breezes. You got, you know, Peter Mandelson with something South American, and he wouldn't know what a drink was if he didn't have an umbrella in it. And then there's you and Ken Clark down the pub with a pint of brown beer. And I'm no style guru, I admit, but doesn't that seem to be a bit last week?
Well, it's a bit of a role reversal, I suppose. It may be the opposite of what people expect of political parties. But we're just being true. Ken Clark's always enjoyed a pint. I've always enjoyed a pint. Why shouldn't we do so? You know, there is a bit of a role reversal. One party leader went to a comprehensive school, the other was privately educated. In the past, you would have thought, oh, the Labour Party leader went to the comprehensive school. Actually, it's now the Tory leader who did that. I think people want politicians to be honest about it now. You know, just to give honest answers to questions about simple, straightforward things in your lifestyle without trying to pretend to be something that you're not.
OK, honest. Is it really 14 pints?
Do you mean you never could?
No, we were trying to work it out. I genuinely can't remember how many I've managed in a day. But I mean, Rotherham, 14's not much, I admit. In Rotherham, you know, up north, there is that.
Well, there you are.
14,
you know, we're from the same area.
Was it really 14?
Well, not every day.
No, but...
If I did that now, it would kill me. I think politicians get fun made of them, and I've had fun made of me over that, but you just have to take that in your stride. I mean, who cares? You know, let's give the honest answers to questions and then let everybody make of it what they will.
Plough on. All right, well, let's plough on. Now, when you were 13 years old, you had a subscription to Hansard. at the local newsagent. By the time you were 14, you'd memorised every MP, his seat and his majority. Was this a bird puller?
It's a fair
question, I think.
Well, depends what sort of birds you were looking for, I suppose.
It's probably okay with the great crested grebe.
Well, you should just be thankful there aren't as many photographs of you doing whatever you were doing when you were 14 or 15 as well as what I was doing when I was 14.
Actually, that's a good point, because I've never wanted to, stand for office in any way, but I look around now, and I do worry that politicians, if they've led blameless lives in order to achieve high office, hope to achieve high office, then they can't know that much about anything, really.
But does it look like, when you look at the House of Commons, does it look like a bunch of people who've led blameless lives? Do you actually look there as electing the Speaker? Oh yeah, there are 659 people who've led blameless lives.
Well, we've got some pictures. We've got some pictures of some of your shadow cabinet here. Forgive me. I can't put names, forgive me for that. But it doesn't look like any of those have ever slept in a hedge.
You should see them earlier in the morning before those pictures are taken.
One of them might have smoked a hedge, perhaps, but... You know what I'm saying? It's just... There is that sense when I look... do you wanted to be Prime Minister? You've said this from a very early age. So did you have to temper your behaviour when you were growing up, thinking, God, if I do achieve my ambition, I don't want this to be raked up?
No, I don't think so, not at all. You've just been asking me about the 14 pints story. Does it sound like I'm someone who went around in terrible trepidation, man, mustn't do this, mustn't do that, in case it's reported in the press? Okay. No, not at all. I think a lot of people, like in all walks of life, you get people who've always been interested in going into that career, but that doesn't mean they've led their whole lives in that way.
I do find it a bit scary, though, that you're, well, not yet 40, actually. You're younger than I am. And the fact is that I can call you William without feeling too bad about that. I would never have called Mrs. Thatcher William. I'd call her Sir, I think. Do you think you're old enough to be Prime Minister?
Yes. Yes. After all, it's not whether you're old enough, it's whether you're good enough, isn't it? Whether you're old enough should never be the question. Although probably it becomes a more reassuring question for everybody to be asked as you and I go on getting older now.
Yeah, well, worryingly so. You haven't crossed the threshold yet. But that's next year, isn't it? Have you got a party plan, big 40th?
Oh, I thought, a new home, a new address, maybe a slightly bigger car. Depends whether the election coincides with my birthday.
That's true enough. What would you do, actually, being from Rotherham with number 10? Pebble dash it, perhaps?
I think we can make some excellent changes in style. I don't know what I would do. We went up, my stag night, we went to Ben Nevis.
I know.
I got a lot of stick about that, you see. A lot of people, what is he doing on his stag night at Ben? You would hate it. You would absolutely have hated that. There are no roads. You would have carbon monoxide withdrawal symptoms. You are the sort of guy who thinks the Lake District has been encroaching on the M6. You would have been at home in that situation.
It has, hasn't it? The election, if it is coming up next year, which it doesn't have to, does it? It could be...
Doesn't have to. No. It can be any time
likely
up to
be next year.
2002.
Is this a problem with planning a family? Because ideally you want to, for the Daily Mail vote, have the pitter-patter of tiny votes about a week before, ideally.
No, but this is what I mean, you see. You can't let your personal life be governed by politics. You must never... Can you imagine a worse decision, a worse way to decide on having a family than having it decided for you by somebody writing in the press, or there's an election coming, so we've got to have a family. Fionn and I will never think on that basis. There are limits to the difference politics can make to your life. You've got to have a private life, you've got to make your own private decisions.
Campaigning is going to be gruelling for the next election, and I understand that you do judo with your right-hand man, your baldric, Sebastian Coe.
He's going to be really delighted about that.
What, being called Baldric?
To be called Baldric. Bald and Baldric.
It's just that I'm sitting here trying to visualise you and Sebastian Coe rolling around in the floor in a pair of pyjamas. It's
a little more sophisticated than that. But it's good exercise. You've got to have something. You've got to have something that you do completely different from politics. That gives you some focus and some you know, it actually gives you some exercise. Politics is a deeply unhealthy profession. People go around in politics taking no exercise, rather like TV presenters, actually, getting offered endless food and drink, and they don't take any exercise. And so 3 times a week I do my judo. I just got my blue belt a few weeks ago.
Really?
So watch out.
No. Does his toniness cower a bit then, do you think?
Well,
I don't going to leap up.
I don't expect him to do that, but you know, I used to think I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him, but since I've taken up judo, I could throw him a lot further than I'd ever trust.
So
but I'm unlikely to try it. I don't think the new Speaker of the House would be very approving of that sort of thing.
Now, there is one aspect of government policy I must touch on, because I do think that it will be the issue that will probably decide the next election. The M4 bus lane. If you're elected, will you get rid of it?
Yes. I give straightforward answers.
So you will get rid of that infernal bus lane?
Yes.
Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. William Hague! Thanks very much for watching. See you next week.
And Jeremy's back in action Thursday at 10 o'clock on BBC Two, with another chance to catch up on Sunday at 12:55.
Gardens aren't about fashion.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
Total pants, fake period detail in here. Getting right up my nose. You know the metallic organza at the windows?
Yeah.
I've just had underwear made in it.
Let the Homefront Boys change your life. The new series starts Tuesday at 8 on BBC Two.
The first complete exploration of South America's landscape and wildlife, Andes to Amazon, starts Monday 6th of November on BBC Two.
Showcasing the best of international cinema now on BBC Two, Movie World presents Nanni Moretti's musings on movies, finding on fatherhood and lessons on life.
Silvio Berlusconi ha vinto la sua battaglia. Consentitemi di dire che l'ha vinta con grande coraggio.